CBC News has obtained audio from Saturday night's police chase after an officer was run over and stabbed. Listen closely as the audio reveals the moment police learned pedestrians had been hit.
Control, we just had civilian hit 107 Jasper. We need some cars to stop there right now. Civilians are hit 107 in Jasper. Guys, we need to take that vehicle right now.
KC-81, use all means necessary to stop that vehicle and end this crime flight.
Officers eventually flipped the vehicle on its side and arrested the suspect. He's facing numerous charges, including attempted murder. We're getting more details about the suspect. He is a Somali refugee. We now know a U.S. immigration judge ordered him deported back to Somalia in 2011, but he ended up in Canada. This comes as the Liberal government amends a controversial bill to ease the immigration process. But the move is raising questions about border control in the wake of the Edmonton terror attack. And the CBC's Evan Dyer is in Ottawa live with the details. So, Evan, the Prime Minister addressed the incident. What did he say?
Yes, he talked a little bit about the background of this 30-year-old man, Hassan, or I should say Abdullahi Hassan Sharif, who came to Canada in 2012 and made a successful refugee claim. He didn't really provide a lot of new detail about his background, but let's just quickly look at what we know about his past history. He started out in Somalia, arrived in the United States sometime around 2011, it seems, was detained in San Diego, California, and held in a U.S. immigration detention facility, Otay Mesa detention facility there. And a judge looked at his case and ruled that he should be deported from the U.S. But as often happens in those cases, he was then released from detention under supervision. And instead of reporting for his deportation, he headed for the border of Canada. He did not cross the border illegally. It's not like the cases we've been seeing this summer. He apparently showed up at one of the legitimate ports of entry out somewhere in Western Canada, we believe, and made a refugee claim in Canada. And unlike the U.S., his refugee claim here in Canada was accepted in 2012, and he is now a refugee. Let's listen to the Prime Minister talking this morning a little bit about this case.
The United States wanted to deport the Edmonton terror suspect. Why didn't Canada?
We are looking into exactly what happened in this situation, but it's certain that we have asylum processes that need to be followed rule by rule. When someone presents himself at our border, we have rules to follow, and we make sure that those rules are followed. We're looking into the whole system, and we'll reflect on whether we need to do things differently in the future than the way they were done in 2012. But the priority is always making sure we're defending the values and rights of Canadians while keeping our communities safe. Merci beaucoup.
Now, it's important to point out that Abdullahi Hassan Sharif was not a Syrian refugee. He's not one of the large group of refugees who were brought into Canada by the Trudeau government from the Syrian civil war. And that probably explains why we have not heard a lot about from the opposition about him. In fact, in question period, this case wasn't discussed, and that is partly because we must assume he arrived in Canada in 2012 under the former government, and he received refugee status also under the former government. So not really something that people can point partisan fingers at the Liberals for, it appears, in this case. But certainly it's the Liberals who are now stuck with the job of explaining how this happened and trying to make sure it doesn't happen again.